Paul Graham is really well known for this quote about how the best startups start as a small, intense fire. And what this means is that when you build a startup, you should start focused and narrow and grow from there. Am I a yay or nay on this particular startupism? Well, forget what I think. Parker Conrad, the CEO of Rippling, is a nay on this one. I've talked about Parker Conrad's idea of a compound startup before, but after reading this recent article about it, I realized my thinking has changed on it over time. So the idea behind the compound startup is that when you start a startup, rather than thinking about that small wedge, you should actually be thinking about solving many problems. And you do this by building on top of a shared data layer or some kind of other platform or layer on top of which you build all of these different products that are interconnected and provide a better experience. So Rippling kind of does this. On top of this entire data layer of employee data, they built this entire suite of HR tools, payroll, insurance, all of that. So I have always been the school of thought, because this is the ecosystem that I was raised in, that you want to find a wedge. And that's definitely what we tried to do at my last startup. My co-founders will tell you I talked about wedges all the time and we never found one. But looking back and also observing other players who are still going and surviving in this space, I realized that actually whether or not you go with a wedge or a platform play is very much market dependent. If your market is full of tools, super crowded, and the margins are really compressed, I really do think your product actually has to be more full-featured and perhaps include many of the components of a compound startup. But I definitely think there are still markets out there where this is not entirely true and you can still build an interesting wedge into that market. So ultimately, market is still king, or better yet, queen.